Hey heroes, Cole's here. Today I'm going through my run of Dragon's Tower. I learned a handful of helpful tips as I went through my first 30 floors, and so I can pass on what I learned to you. Real quick with modifiers, the big ones to know are that there aren't any starting upgrades. Cooldown is capped at 40, movement speed is set to 8, so don't worry about movement speed. And then the one that they don't mention here that's actually really big is you get 5 levels on your weapons and 3 levels on your tomes, like in Arena. And the one that's unique to this is that there's no revives and there's no regen, but you can heal. So you're gonna have to think of creative ways to heal throughout the run. There are 31 different levels of difficulty. I went with 15 here because I wasn't sure how hard this was gonna be and I wanted to make sure I could complete the whole run. So this is when I could use all 34 of my heroes that are at least level 100. The next level up is 125, and I only have like 9 or 10 heroes at level 125, but I do want to risk it. And you can see here that X-Ghetto, guy from my guild, is number 2 in the world for clearing floor 15, so that's pretty cool for him. And we'll take a quick look at the rewards, which are skill books, hero orbs, and special hero shards. Real quick, I loaded in with this build, basically like my glass cannon build. So rogue helm, rogue chest, rogue gloves, rogue necklace with wizard boots and wizard ring. The boots are for collecting XP. I didn't know how this was going to go, and so I figured I didn't need the extra cooldown from Ranger, so I'll just collect the XP. The other big thing to note is that several heroes are featured, and the featured heroes have a ton more health and a ton more damage. If you have any of the special featured heroes, use them. They make this mode much easier. That extra damage boost is noticeable. So I started off with Steam Golem, who was one of the featured heroes. So just to give it a shot, this is the first floor. What we see here first off is like these kamikaze bugs. So you have to pay attention and not just like let them blow up on you. But they also don't do a ton of damage. The other big thing to note here, right, is there's fire on the floor. So like video game 101, don't stand in the fire. There's another unique mechanic, are arrows. So really like this mode is about 2 things, are avoiding arrows and elites. And so the guy that's chasing me now with that like red stripe of damage is the elite for this game mode. He's a Drake or a dragon. They're both the same thing, like a small little dragon. And that's actually the only really like dragon in this game mode, which is kind of sad. So I'm gonna speed through the rest of the first floor here because it's all the same now. It's just damage check and clearing horde. So what's interesting is how they broke up the total reward for all of Dragon's Tower is they take the like total potential hero orbs and tokens you can get for all 30 floors, and they just divide it by 30, and that's how many you get per floor. So you get some rewards as you progress. So if you only get to like floor 10, you'll at least get the first 10 floors worth of currency and hero orbs. What I learned from my first floor was that this is going to be easier than I thought. I was way overpowered for level 15. So I am moving away from max damage pets and I'm going to Hydra Basilisk. The one big thing about Hydra Basilisk is that his ability creates geysers on the ground that will heal you. While regen is disabled, healing is not disabled. And so you can start trying to stand in the geysers in order to heal yourself. And you'll see I'll start doing it here. They heal at like 0.5% of your HP per second. So it's like not a lot. But what you can do is this thing I call puddle jumping, which is you basically go from geyser to geyser, like you're jumping from puddle to puddle, and you just try and heal up as much as you can during the whole floor. Floor 2 had no interesting mechanics. For floor 3, I went to Shield Warden to give that a try, and you notice the damage drop off from not using a featured hero, but he still had plenty and it wasn't particularly interesting. Okay, so now I'm on to floor 4 and the Dragon Empress. She does a whole bunch of damage. She's a really fun hero. And that she, like, her graphics are cool. Like, you're gonna see this. It's like a firework display going off the whole time. But that's about it. I have found that the hardest parts of the floor are like the first 12 seconds before you get any levels. When you're stuck with just your weapon, that feels the most butt clenching. Like, oh my god, is this gonna be hard? And then you get a couple levels and it gets easier. And so heroes with better weapons, like base weapons, do better, which is a little bit of a foreshadow for who I think is gonna be some of like the better heroes that I played with on my run. These featured heroes have plenty of damage. She's only level 100 for me. So she has her ultimate, but it isn't really like skilled up or anything. And you can see I'm just doing more puddle jumping. Some kamikaze bugs. And the way these floors work is they go from like clearing horde to like a special elite section to clearing more horde. And then they just kind of repeat. Moved over to Werebeast. Werebeast is going to be strong in this game mode, but there's nothing interesting on floor 5. And what I quickly noticed was that all these, once you get introduced to those like first set of elites, the rest of the floors start to feel very repetitive. So 6, 7, 8, just skipping through right now. In total, just so you know, all my like footage put together was 1 hour and 45 minutes. So it took me about 1 hour and 45 to go through all 30 floors, which is what? Yeah, 3.5, 4 minutes of floors. So these floors don't take very long. So 9, 10, 11, 12, I'm going to speed run. Just repetitive, same old floors. What's interesting at floor 13 is they introduced new modifiers. This one's called Unstoppable, which basically means like the horde can't be stopped. And they introduced like 3 or 4 of these additional modifiers as you go. Floor 13 with Warlord. I started to notice now you'll start seeing it. Death Ray was really strong. So I started running Death Ray pretty solidly. Floor 14 was about the same. And you can see I'm like in full farm mode now. Here's a new modifier, Explosive, but I'm farming so much now that I'm using Santa. 16, 17, 18, 19, cleared. You can see I got some gold keys. That was pretty exciting. Started getting some gold keys. Floor 20 is done. Now I'm using Bunny, give him a shot. I thought maybe just like the massive damage. And this is like the most exciting thing is getting gold keys. Meat Shield is another modifier that just makes all of the horde have more health. Up until this point, floor 1 was interesting because it introduced a new set of horde to deal with. Those guys that shoot arrows, the kamikaze bugs, but also some ghosts that like fly around. So what happened was like, I was really bored. Like I was doing the same thing over and over again. And then all of a sudden, like something different would happen where you had to avoid circle arrows that would do damage to you. Up until this point, it was all very repetitive until this happened. I was like, whoa, did you see that? Boom. There's circles of arrows. And I was like, oh God. And so actually all of a sudden I had to move. So the most jarring part was just going from like not having to pay any attention to having to pay a whole ton of attention all of a sudden. So beware of like checkpoints. I'm not doing a great job of kiting right now, but Bunny's gonna have enough damage, I hope, to survive here. This will take some skill at higher levels, I imagine, is dealing with all of just the arrows. The unavoidable damage is big. I did find that through puddle jumping, you can heal basically full health over the course of like 3 or 4 stages, depending on like how long you can stay in the puddles. And so after that run with the arrows, I started taking off my farming gear and I went into more like actual serious DPS gear for the rest of the 8 floors of this. Regen was actually very strong. This ultimate is great. It gives you much more visibility and lets him clear out a ton of horde. I found him pretty strong. The Tinkerer on floor 25 I thought was great. I have Crazy Tinkerer with the 4-star Forge. I thought he was super strong. The mines did a whole bunch of work. Astral Mage is sleeper OP. Astral Mage is probably top 2, top 1 best heroes for this mode. Something to know. The shield just like gives you infinite health. Like I'm just letting them hit me and I just don't even really care because I'll be able to kite around eventually. And her ability hits every single horde on the screen. Super strong for this game mode. And then this one I actually really liked a lot was Leprechaun. Leprechaun's base weapon does a ton of damage, and so it makes the first 12 seconds super easy. Throughout the whole run, he was just doing a massive amount of damage. And so it felt really good. Leprechaun felt really good. Astral Mage felt good. I said Tinkerer and Barbarian. So for 30, I saved my best for last and went in with the Arcane Mage. I will note that the net slowing you down from the sky is actually the hardest modifier to deal with. So this one felt actually hard. I figured I'd load in with the Arcane Mage for the last run, just so I could test dying. Not because I'm bad at this game, but because I wanted to die and see what would happen. I swear that's what I was doing here. I was like, oh, I haven't died yet, and I don't know what happens when you die. So I'm gonna make sure that I die with Arcane Mage because I'm good at this game, and it's just Arcane Mage is bad. And so here, like this is me dying on purpose, like, you know, obviously. So let's see what happens when you pick a new hero. And they load you back in. The loading screens are really slow on this. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but the loading screen's really slow. Moves in with Steam Golem, and it sets you back exactly where you were. So you have the same number of horde remaining, but you have the health of your current hero, and you are where you are. You have the same weapon set too. So that was some good learning, at least from, you know, dying on purpose. For 30 complete, you get the end of floor bonus. You get the end of the Dragon Tower bonus, and then you can go to the reward shop and spend your rewards. I personally bought some Dragon Empress tokens. I needed like 10 to hit her to 3-star, and so now she's at 3-star. I lost her 3-star during 3.40 update. And so that's my overall run of Dragon's Tower. Again, this is like an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes condensed into about 10 minutes of run. My big takeaway from the whole thing was that I found it very repetitive. I'm not impressed with this game mode, honestly. I was hoping to be, and people that were saying it and like kind of before me that was like ho hum. I was like, no, there's going to be some strategy, and there is no skill expression in this right now. Maybe it'll grow on me, but I much prefer something like Boss Brawl, where at least like you have to like actively try and do more damage. And even though like the skill expression is small, it's still there. There wasn't any like cool boss that you had to fight. There wasn't like any really super interesting like new mechanic. So that's my first take of running through this. Sorry, I'm not like more hype about it, but that's my honest opinion on it. So maybe it'll change over time, and I'll do a more like detailed guide on like all the tips and tricks. Another good one to know is just like stand in a corner. I mean, you don't want to say that, but like if you can get to a corner quickly, the horde won't spawn from that section of the map. And so then it's easier to like just attack in one direction if you have enough damage, but then it's just a stat check on your damage. So I'm Coles. I'm a high level HVH player. You can sign up for my Patreon, where you can get priority answers to your questions, or you can become an executive producer. The executive producers of this video are Cake Invictus, Riverwind, The Wubba, Krabs, Charlos, and Dennis. Thank you all very much for your support. And remember, always do your adventures!